Hello, Craigster here again. Week 3. Might be a little bit shorter this week because I didn't have that extra bank holiday that we had here in the UK to do stuff, but I've made some progress. So let's dive in and take a look. So as usual, we start with the base plate, which is very similar to the other base plates, but as you can see there is a cutout, and that is to get around the drawers on my table. I've left enough gap for the drawers to still be able to open and close with parts in, although that drawer is one that is very rarely used, so it's not going to cause me too much grief. The usual green filler bricks in a honeycomb structure underneath just to give it some stability. You've had to use like a very old green base plate that I had from probably a castle, funnily enough, back in the early 90s, I would suspect, if not earlier. So yeah, I've put the blue plates down again just to show where the water's going to go, and started doing some of the bank work. Not done the full Snot River yet, but we will be looking at that soon rather than later to make sure I've got enough pieces and it's actually going to work properly across the whole front. Put down some grey base plates, left a bit of a recess to match with the gatehouse. Obviously there's a lot of texture that still needs to be done on the front to match up with what we started on the gatehouse, which we also didn't finish on the other section. And we've left it high raised because the wall is going to go right across this bit and then down the side there. So it's going to go in a corner with a tower. I'm hoping to do an angled tower, very much similar to the style of the Anniversary Lion Knight's castle. So an angle sort of 45 degrees that they run it, but possibly slightly bigger. So that is the plan, and here we go. We've managed to start off the wall using the similar technique. We've had a look at it, we've got the angles, we're trying to work out the front a little bit, and you'll notice that I've got rid of the indent because I want to put a stables on this section behind here. I thought it was a really good place to put the stables because they're near the gatehouse and it's quite a big bit of room tucked away in the corner. So I've had to up level it because otherwise I'd have had to have created a lower step. But now I've looked at it, I realise that I don't actually think it's going to be a big enough space for the stable that I want. I'm not too sure on how the tower is going to work either. But at least we've got a start and we've got an idea of what kind of wall we want to do. So as you can see, I've extended it again. So I've sort of changed it, the base plate, from a 16 by 32 and whatever no, it was a 32 by 32 with a little plate. I've added another 16 by 32 plate underneath. So that's a lot bigger. And I've started my sort of design of where I want the stables and how it's going to incorporate into the wall. So you can see I've pulled that brick back in so it's not sticking out. I've had to do some jiggling around at the front with the tower, and I've also started laying in the grey blank pieces that I'm going to use for that wall because you're not really going to see it, so there's no point wasting bricks on texture. I might as well just have a plain grey wall. But the stables is working out quite well. I like the doors. I like the little bays. It's going to have enough for 6 horses. There's room to come in. I'm hoping to have a little attic area. Just in time, some pieces arrive direct from Lego, which will allow me to finish the tower, which again will be later on. So yeah, I've got some basic 1x2s and some 1x1s, but yeah, I needed some more for that tower. He's quite part intensive, so I'm glad that's arrived on time. And I've started laying out a few of the base plates as well, which we'll come back to later on. Back to this section build. I've added in some green bricks just to texture it off nicely, so they're looking good on that side. Banks are in. Not quite sure what I'm going to do with the sort of rigid green wall to the right, but we'll carry on. Built the wall up, matched it into the stables, and I'm now looking at how I'm going to do the roof for the stables, which is possibly going to be complicated. I'm trying to have a look at what the blacksmith's done and use that somewhere, but I want this little attic space for like riding gear, storing hay, animal feed, things like that. I thought would be quite cool to have some detail up there. I know I did something very similar but in a smaller way in the Black Falcon fortress that I did, so I just want to expand it and make it bigger, because obviously this is a bigger stables. So there's the roof that I've started doing. I wanted to do a sort of black roof, so the building was very black and white. Like I said, happy with the doors and how they work, using the black ingot pieces as sort of cross timber frames. This section down here I'm going to use as like a stable hand groom's quarters. So I need to make sure that everything is modular so that I can get to things, and the space in here is quite tight for a hand, so the tricky part is blending the wall to the roof and making it modular. So I've got the roof up a little bit further, and I've just put some base plates on there just to get sort of height and feeling and get that tower sort of mapped out to how it's going to look, and then come back to the sort of tricky section that's going to be the modular bit in the beginning. But the wall's looking nice, I'm pleased with that. It's going to match the others. The tower I'm not so sure of, although I like the fact that I've got an arrow slits on like each of the corners. There's another one on this side. I don't know if it's a bit too thin. I might need to bring that out further so it's a little bit deeper, which means possibly getting rid of the green slurps on the bank and bringing it into another form. Rock face maybe might work better, because it's not reliant on those green bricks that are a set size, so it's restricting the build space of that. Again, working out this part here it needs to be modular and it needs to be able to blend with the roof, so it's not going to be the easiest thing to design, but I've got a good idea of how I'm going to do it and how it's going to connect. So it's just a case of I'm running out of time this week to get that finished, because it's more complicated to get that done. And here it is in position. As I said, you can see where it's cut round the drawers now. It doesn't really look like that bottom drawer will open, but it does. It does open enough, and like I said, I don't use that drawer particularly well. There are obviously little bits in there that I could fill with other base plates, but I'm going to keep them separate rather than connected to that one, because it makes it hard to lift it in and out if I did want to take a section out and work on it. So I'm quite happy with the fact that there's going to be some table space down that side that I can fill later with anything I want, really. The front aspect is pretty much what I wanted, and now I look at it and see it, I'm not happy with that tower on the right hand side. It's just too thin. It needs to be a lot chunkier and bulkier to be managing that corner. But in position at the back, I think the stables is looking really good. There's good access around it. Obviously there's a lot of blending work to be done between the other level, and there's the 48 by 48 that I've got that needs millsing up anyway, and that'll help bring those two sections together, and then I can really build that gatehouse with some guard rooms, some stairs, just make it a bit more substantial. And I've laid out a couple of the blue base plates to show where the harbour's going to go with a mock like clipper boat that I'd already done. So that's might need a few little extra bits, so I might need to be made longer, but it's there, and gives you an idea of the size of the harbour. The Royal Keep is the building there with the white, and that will be in the centre. I do need to change some things on that, but the majority of the structure is going to stay the same. It was mills to take to shows, and it will be modular, as in that part there will lift off where it actually lives, because there's going to be servants' quarters, etc. underneath it. The Sorcerer's Tower, it might stay there, it might not. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this update, and we'll see you on the next one, which hopefully won't be too long. Thanks for watching. Bye.